Welcome to Spotlight on the Arts. I'm your host tonight, Bill Hirschman. I'm editor, chief critic, and founder of FloridaTheaterOnStage.com, and I am honored, as always, to be with this wonderful panel, starting with Miss Iris Acker, actress, director, writer, and producer of Spotlight on the Arts. And then the multiple award-winning actress, Karen Stevens, whose resume just goes on and on. And then the wit, raconteur, and brains of the operation, playwright. No, it's not Michael McKeever. It's Dan Clancy. We are truly honored tonight to have as our special guest Patrice Bailey, the Dean of Theater at the New World School. Thank you very kindly for taking time from various other operations to come see us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Everybody knows about New World School, yes. But give us an overview of the school.
There's no place like it in the country. We take students, we audition students in the 8th grade. You get in on talent only. We do not look at your grades. We don't look at conduct. We don't look at teacher recommendations. We spend weeks auditioning students in music, dance, visual arts, and theater. It's a hoot to go to these auditions, to see such young people coming in who are passionate about their work. And we get the opportunity to meet them and talk to them. We audition in the high school over 1,200 students, and 10% of that make it in. Ooh. So we are highly selective in each of the divisions. We have these 3 partners. So we have, Miami-Dade Public Schools, which is integral to us, and we have Miami-Dade College and the University of Florida. What makes us different than other magnet schools is that all of the faculty are professional artists, and they have their MFA degrees as well. And that's a gift. They are college professors teaching in the high school. Our high school students graduate with 24 hours of college credit. They can choose if they want, let's say they come in a 9th grade, and they can stay to their BFA or BM in music. They have the opportunity to work with at least 23 to 25 faculty every single year, and over their 4 years of being in school. They have the opportunity to work with world-class artists. We have wonderful grants, which allows us to bring people in. In my department, last year, Terrell McCraney, Oscar winner and playwright, came to New World, directed 2 play readings. We brought in other alumni and other guest artists to work with him, and it was a life-changing moment for our students. New World changes lives. The impact of it is so incredible. All my life, I had been a university professor, and I went to New World. I had never worked with high school kids before. I taught acting for 8 years. And it was the first time that I really felt like I was making a contribution, that the impact I had on these children was going to really matter. And you meet someone like Terrell McCraney, who came his sophomore year, bullied. His parent was sick, extremely ill, who blossomed at New World. His first play he wrote was in our Playwrights Festival. There are just stories like that over and over again in each of the divisions. It's a really magical place, and I get to see these kids grow. And every year we do a production in March called Rising Stars, and what a privilege it is to listen to a high school jazz band, a symphony orchestra, incredible dancers, to see the work in the visual arts department. People come into our building, they can't believe that high school kids or college kids created the work that they have. And of course, in the theater division, to watch these children grow and emerge as artists. The goal in the school for high school students is to get them into great colleges. Last year, 125 students received $36 million in scholarship offers.
Wow.
Whoa.
It's enormous. It's enormous. But schools recognize how talented they are and how well trained they are, because it is a conservatory. In our college program, the goals are to create professional artists and get them out working. And so we have alumni like Robert Battle, who is the artistic director of Alvin Ailey, who brings his company down, works with the students. I certainly have Terrell McCraney. We have John Carlos Canales, who works with the music students. It's an amazing opportunity for kids.
So many actresses.
Oh, I know.
Tony Award
Tony
winner.
winners, Katie Finneran, Michael Aronoff, and of course our Oscar winner, which was really a thrill last year.
So many success stories.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. speaks so beautifully of this.
is.
I want to go back and do it all over
I do
again.
too. I often, I'm from Miami. I grew up here. And you look at this program, you think, oh my God, where would I have been if I had had a school like this?
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about your history. Could you tell us a little bit about your history
Sure.
and how you came to be where you are now?
Well, my parents were from Brooklyn, New York. My father was a cartoonist and got a job in Miami in the 50s and brought us down. My parents were very cultured people. And they bought a home right across from Barry University because the plan was the girls would all go to Barry. And what was great about Barry University was we got an opportunity to go to concerts and plays and have this wonderful experience over there. And I went to see King Lear and Oedipus Rex in Rep with the Canadian Shakespeare Company as a child. And before we went, my mother read us a prose version, so we knew what we were doing and listening to, and Oedipus was on. And I stood the entire time. I was like 6 or 7 years old, I guess, and I was horrified by this play, and I loved every minute of it. When the Jocasta's maid started screaming off stage, I'm like, oh my God, I have to do this. And Barry University had a children's theater program on Saturdays. So I told my mom I wanted to join, and there I was. And then I ended up, working with that group for a while, and I went to high school, and we didn't have a drama program. I went to a Catholic high school. And so I joined the speech team. So I did that. And then we would do a play once a year, which was always a disaster. We never had a director. We didn't know what we were doing. We did one play where we didn't even rehearse the last act, which was scary. We're all backstage learning our lines. Like, what are we doing? I got involved when I went to Miami-Dade College for 2 years. And I got involved with the speech program. And they had something called oral interpretation of literature.
I used to do that.
Well, I love all sorts of literature besides plays, and to have the opportunity to play all these different characters and narrators was really exciting. And I ended up winning the National Oral Interp Festival, and I got a scholarship to Indiana State, so I continued to do my oral interp work, and then I started wheeling my way back into theater. And once you're in theater, it never leaves you. It was in my blood. And I ended up getting my master's degree in speech communication and oral interpretation literature, and then going to FIU in teaching, where I would adapt scripts to the stage, which I really love to do, and do compiled scripts and poets and whatever I fell in love with at the time. And someone said to me, and I was always a director, I have to admit. I started out in acting, but whenever I was in a play, I was thinking, well, I would do it this way. Why are they doing it that way? And I had really great female role models who were professors, which really impacted me. So when I went to FIU, I was head of the public speaking program there for about 8 to 9 years. And I had just adapted To Kill a Mockingbird, and someone said to me, you need to go get your MFA degree. You're already doing the work anyway. So I applied to Florida State University and got in and had an incredible experience there as a director. Had the opportunity to work with Jose Quintero, which was a gift. And then I came back to FIU, and they sent me to New World because FIU was the original partner institution before the University of Florida. And just fell in love with the students and the faculty. The faculty at New World, which I should have mentioned earlier, what makes us so different is this incredible faculty. And there are no big egos, and we all work together well. And if you don't know how to help somebody with a monologue, you can go to David Quiet, who's one of our professors, and say, hey, help with this. So it's been just a dream working there. And after about 8 years of being an acting teacher, the dean at the time stepped down, and I threw my hat in the ring, and I said, let me try this. Because I wanted to fix certain things. And I was able to fix those and kind of reorganize the division a little bit. And my contribution to theater really has been helping our students get work. And prior to me coming there, we didn't bring agents in. We didn't take the students to New York for a showcase. We now do a Miami showcase and a New York showcase. And that has really opened the doors a lot to the students.
Wow.
So that's probably my big contribution at the moment.
How did you wind up in Russia teaching master classes in Russia?
It was a little crazy. It was my first or second year as dean, and a Russian woman who had known the former dean came into the department, and she wanted to open up an after-school program in St. Petersburg. So I'd never been to St. Petersburg, so I thought, well, this might be fun. So I gathered the faculty, and I said, what do you think? We'll go and audition the kids, I negotiated money for the faculty. I donated mine just in case. I said, let me just donate my money to the school. And off we went. And what an incredible experience. It was a little scary. The first night we were in the hotel, I kept thinking, what did I just do to us? You know, we all had a little sip of vodka. But it was amazing. And each of us had a translator, college translator. And we basically auditioned, about 50 kids for their program. And then I came back a little bit early, but the faculty taught. I taught a couple of classes. The great thing about being in Russia is these kids have an idea of what Americans are. So the first day of acting class, everyone's dressed so inappropriately with big high heels on and tight clothes on that they can't move in. So I had to take on that. This is what we do here. But it was amazing. And we got to see how the Russian teachers taught, how the Americans taught. At the end of the 2 weeks, we said to the kids, who do you like better, the Russian teachers or the Americans? And they liked us because we were so positive all the time. It was just, we weren't as strict as the Russian teachers were.
I just want to follow up on this. And then, what was it like having someone to interpret everything you said? I mean, did it bother with the immediacy of the moment, or?
Not really. These kids were really good.
Yeah.
The interesting thing for me was to see how the Russian teachers auditioned. So the kids would come in and they'd be really little, and they would say, they would do their piece, and then the Russian teacher would say, you are not an artist, get out of my sight. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I said, well, in America, we send letters. Yeah. But I said, let me do this. Let me show you what we do the next time. So the next little girl comes in, and I was very positive. That was really excellent. You did a great job. Now think about re-auditioning next year. This is what I recommend you do. And the girl leaves smiling and happy, and no one's crushed. And hopefully they come back and try again next year. And so the Russian teacher then started to do that.
Oh, good.
Because it was less dramatic.
As well. That's wonderful.
When I took acting classes in New York, there was always one or two students that was special. I mean, and they had something that the rest of us didn't. And I kept thinking, what were those qualities? And one quality was acting truthfully. And the second thing, they were so emotionally alive. Can these things be taught?
Well, acting is a skill. I do believe that there is something called an it factor. When someone walks on that stage, you cannot take your eyes off of them. But it is that student that goes moment to moment to moment, that's listening and is connected to that moment and is relaxed. And I'm very proud of what we do at the school. When you come see the students, they have so much confidence about them, whether they're a musician or a visual artist or a dancer in theater. You see the work, they're young professionals when they're out there, and that takes performance time and confidence and really excellent teaching. I always tell everyone that when they come to see the kids, they always say, oh my God, they're so good. It doesn't just happen. It happens with students that are very committed to their artistic work, when they want to do it 24/7, and a faculty that is committed to that student, and a curriculum. Because our curriculum builds a foundation in all of the arts. So you're learning technique. And then as you progress, this is all a process. Whether you're a musician or a dancer or a visual artist, there's a process that has to take place here. And as you become more confident and more relaxed with yourself, and learning to listen as a musician or a dancer, and allowing that confidence to come from inside. So we don't teach a lot of external things ever. It's always what's happening from inside of you, and how do you connect to those moments using the techniques that we give you.
Yeah, can I just follow up with, in the classes, do you follow a specific acting style? For example, are all the students trained in Stella or Adler, or are they trained in the method technique, or are they exposed to as many different
We
techniques as possible?
try to expose them to as many as we can. We have such a diverse faculty. For instance, I have 5 full-time faculty and 2 full-time high school faculty. So the 5 is the college and then the high school. And then I have 23 adjuncts that come from all over the place. And then you bring in guest artists in from all over the world. So they're really exposed to a lot of techniques. We do, in my program, freshman year in the high school is all about self-discovery, who you are. We translate that to the college, the self-discovery year, but first semester is all Uta Hagen work. We do a lot of practical handbook for the actor work. Second year's Chekhov, modern realism, third year's classical, and then our senior year is getting you ready to go out. And one of the things that we do in theater is those students must write a one-person play, star in it, produce it, costume themselves, get a set ready, and do all of that, and then take it out. And we do it at school first, and then we encourage them to really do something else with it.
One thing that I've never been clear on is when someone comes into your high school, what academics do they also get? How does that integrate?
Excellent question. Their academic day starts at 7:30 in the morning, and we are just like any other high school in Dade County. Tons of AP classes. Teachers really teach to artistic students, which is really important because they're very visual learners, and they also want hands-on experience. Those classes go from 7:30 in the morning till 1 o'clock. And at 1 o'clock till 3:45, then they take their arts classes. And in many of the divisions, especially in dance and in theater, those students will stay for rehearsal. So they usually get out of school at 7 o'clock at night. So it's a very, very long day.
Wow.
And they love it all.
They do, they do. And academically, you know, it's one of the best schools in the country academically.
Absolutely. I'm so impressed with the fact that your goal is to get them work. I mean, there's nothing else in the country that I know of that has that goal. I mean, that's fabulous.
Well, that's what we're about. You know, you teach all this work, and then you want them to go out into the world and change it. So it's not just saying, oh, you're going to be on Broadway, you're going to be a play. No, go out and do something with it. And many of our students may not be actors or musicians, that they go into law, they go into psychology. Billy Corbin's a graduate, and he's a filmmaker. So they just, you know, being in theater, being in the arts really teaches you how to be a team player, how to be creative. And certainly industry today is looking for creative people and how to work with other creative people. But certainly we want them out there performing and writing plays and painting and seeing the world and having an impact.
Besides teaching the business end of it, which indeed most actors I know go, I wish to heck somebody had told me about that. What else do you do to help them adjust to the professional world as opposed to working in an academic
I think bringing
environment?
Other guests in, agents and other actors and our casting directors in really helps. The door is always open to our alumni. I get phone calls all the time from students, what's your advice, how should I handle this? So we try to keep that door open all the time, and I believe the other divisions do that as well. The school is very supportive of the alumni. We want the alumni coming back and teaching. Stuart Meltzer, who's the artistic director of Zoetic, is a graduate. I have Diana Lozano in my department, who's a graduate. Herman Payne, who's a graduate and a Broadway dancer, teaches both in dance and in theater. So having those people come back as well gives a student the opportunity to see what they can do as well in the real world. But we do, you know, keep the door open. And if there's workshops, I always invite the alumni to come because, you know, we learn everything all the time. We never stop learning.
I lectured in David Quiet's class, the business side of the business, and the unions,
Yes.
where I encourage them not to join.
I just had that discussion the other day, too, with them.
Did you?
Take your time.
Take your time. I said it just recently, too. Otherwise, you wind up saying dinner is served for the rest of your career. So it's true. It's a matter of holding back and get the experience. It's so hard that if they're off at that card, it's so hard to say no.
And I think it's also important that our alumni have an opportunity to choose where they want to live. You know, we do take them to New York, but many of our alumni stay here in Miami because they want to work in Miami. Because Miami is such cutting edge in the arts right now. So it's a great place to be.
Yeah. Yes, stay here, get the experience.
And Art Basel certainly helped to change that for visual arts a lot. So
What
the school is very
qualities
active.
do you look for when a student auditions for your school?
Well, in my department, we're certainly looking at a raw talent. If they're in 8th grade, I mean, it's really hard.
Yeah.
And we're looking for maturity. We're looking for how creative they are. In theater, we do theater games before the audition. So we do a lot of improv. We see how they work with each other. In visual arts, they actually have a class, you know, a visual arts class to see how the kids listen and how they work with the tools. Dance is the same thing. The instrumental people, they're a little different because it's just that one-on-one. And what we find in music, you have to start really young in music. Same thing with dance. Theater, you can start later, and in visual arts, you can start later. So it's difficult, but we really look for that student that could be one line in that monologue that they understand. And then having a conversation. You know, do you read? Do you write? With the college, I always ask, do you go to the theater? Because
Thank
if you
you.
don't go, but
Absolutely.
to
Thank
share with
you.
you a little story, I had a student, he's graduating this year. He went to, I believe, Central High School, came in, he had never seen a play. And he came into my office and we were talking and I'm thinking, I don't know if this kid's really an actor. He, you know, wasn't very dynamic in his conversation, he was very soft-spoken. So I said, well, let's go hear your monologue. And he did a monologue from All My Sons. And my mouth fell open. I could not believe this child. And I said, did you ever see a play? No, I've never seen a play. I said, okay, I'm going to call Joe Adler. I called Joe Adler at the Cable Stage and said, Joe, I got a kid here. I need 2 tickets because Mom's going to bring him. Talk to him afterwards. That student has knocked my socks off.
Wow.
He will work. He is unbelievable. He's charismatic. He just was a sponge from the moment he came into that school. And that's what New World is about, to take a student like that. And this young man will have a professional career.
Now, I just wanted to ask really, really quick. I'm a graduate of the University of Florida Theater Department, so I've always wondered how that partnership works, that when your graduates graduate, they have a degree from UF. Just, can you explain that real quick?
Sure, and it's a big asset for our students because they actually never go to University of Florida unless they want to graduate from there. So they seamlessly transfer. And the relationships have been really strong. University of Florida may or may not come once a year. They sit on our foundation board. We have done exchanges with both divisions, dance more than anybody else. One year we sent the one-person shows to Gainesville. The faculty actually did a show up there. They've come down here to perform. We probably could do better at it than we are, but both departments get so busy that it's really difficult to do. But it's been a great relationship with UF. And for our students to get that degree and have it is really fantastic.
Before we get to penultimate questions, I wanted to first of all make sure that people know what the website address is where people can get a glimpse of what the work you folks do.
It is nwsa.mdc nwsa.mdc.edu.
They'll bring it up. So
And it's, you know, take a look at it. There's wonderful videos on it, lots of information about our alumni, what's coming up during the year, and where you can buy tickets.
And you also have an email list that people can sign up for.
Yes.
Because I get a newsletter about.
Yeah, there's a newsletter, and you can sign up through that website as well.
Okay. What is it about your job that, or actually the work of New World, that you think people don't quite get, that you want to make sure you're standing on a mountaintop right now, you can tell people what it is about this that most people don't get?
I don't think people realize the professional work that comes out of it, that this is not a typical school in any way. It's a small school. We have 400 college and 500 high school students. It's a very intimate program, open door policy along the way. I mean, I know everybody, everybody knows the faculty and the staff. So I do think people don't realize the professional level that we're working on.
That's terrific. And that makes a great segue to the finale here. We want to thank all of you. We particularly want to thank Patrice for educating us in more ways than one. And we want to thank all of you for being here to enjoy our show week after week after week. If you want to know more about what's going on in theater, both news items, calendar, the whole 9 yards, do go to floridatheateronstage.com. We look forward to seeing you next week here on Spotlight on the Arts.